Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Thursday, June 27th, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state, we continue to be in an uptrend. And if we go over here and look at the trend gauge, market leaders still have them in a bullish uptrend. And I'll talk about a few leaders that are starting to pop back up. Short term, this is our 21-day EMA. We have the green arrow as well. And IWM got about the 21-day today. That's a step in the right direction for breadth expansion. Mid cap still lag. Medium term, green arrow. Small caps got above that one again today, so that's what we have been wanting to see. And then mid caps lagging, and our long-term 200-day moving average, we have the green arrow. And we say this all the time, but the market doesn't get into serious trouble until it's below the 200-day moving average, and that is where all bear markets occur. So what happened today? Well, this is about the 7th straight day of tight action. And going into a big economic report tomorrow, we have PCE. So that could be the catalyst to get us out of this range. 21 over 21 list. And for any new listeners, this is our curated a curated list of 21 stocks from various sectors that are trading above the 21-day moving average. So this helps us keep our a pulse on the market to give us a good general view of how the stock's acting from a broad variety of different sectors and industry groups. So 12 of them were up today, 9 of them were down. Big 8 up 0.55% today. RG8, this is our eight growth ETF composite, up 0.62%. S&P 500 up 0.09%. Equal weight up 0.12%. And QQQ up 0.21%. Equal weight up 0.14%. Dow up 0.08%. Mid caps, Russell outperformance today, 60/40 up 0.13%, and in-house GROTECTION up 0.08%. So let's get into the inter-asset correlation. Start with the S&P 500. We're just coiled in a really tight range right now. I'll pull up the 60-minute and just kind of walk through. So 54.47 was the high that we topped out of off this initial gap. We came in and tested this 5,400 level, held, broke out, and now this previous breakout spot's acting as support. So we back tested this a couple times and we continue to hold. So really 5,500, 5,505, those are the next levels up, but overall can't complain with the action there. And this, and to the downside, if that 54.47 gets taken out, we obviously have 5,400, then this open gap over here, but no complaints there. QQQ, similar story. It's riding the short-term moving averages higher, and it's been in a tight range the last couple days. Dow Jones. So now this is a little bit of a different picture versus the S&P and QQQ. So it's forming a VCP here a little bit. This was the first contraction, second contraction, and now it's getting really tight on the right side of the space. The moving averages are all stacked together, and the RS line attempted on this initial pop to start outperforming, rejected, and maybe it comes back around, and this would give the view that the market's rotating into some safer names. So we don't know, but this is what the chart's telling us. Mid caps, tight. It keeps rejecting this 50-day, but it's got a pretty clear downtrend line. And overall, the chart's a bit of a choppy mess, but it is building higher lows. So that's a step in the right direction. And when you zoom out, you could say, this is those highs, and it's kind of forming a weekly cup and handle. And we saw what the S&P 500 did when it broke out of that one. Russell 2000, really strong today, up 1%, getting back above all the moving averages. And similar to mid caps, this has been building higher lows. It's coming, right against this downtrend line. Tomorrow with the data could be the catalyst. You have a favorable stochastic and hooking back up on the daily and oversold. So we'll be watching this closely, and this level right here, that 2071, that would I think trigger the big breakout. But overall, this is looking good heading into tomorrow, and then the weekly still in this big stage one base. And actually real quick, one thing to note is the moving averages haven't been this coiled up in almost 2 years. The distance between the 821.50 is like less than 1%. So that I think that's signaling that this might be ready for a move. VIX down 2.47% today. This is heading lower. Volatility's getting lower and lower, and you can see that in the S&P 500 range. Dollar down inside day, not a whole lot, but looks pretty good. Gold up 1.13% coming into this 50-day, but it's downtrending, and 225 is the high end of the space and 210's the low end. So to me, this just looks range bound for now, and with the potential breadth expansion and growth leaders acting well, that's where our main focus is. We aren't focused on commodities right now. GDX, same story, into the 50-day rejecting. Silver, similar. A lot of these commodity charts look similar. They had the strong run, but now they've just been underperforming big time. So until they can start outperforming and get above these moving averages. Bitcoin holding the low end of this range. Yeah, a lot of people, like Don mentioned on the video, a lot of people thought this was going to be the big breakout here. Obviously had a pretty big failure and back into the low end of the range. But as long as it holds this gap low, I think it just chops around in here for a while and sets up again. BNB brown bonds up 0.18%, acting fine. TLT just consolidating after it wedge popped and out of this double bottom base. 30-year down 1.24%, and it's got a tight multi-day range. So, maybe it picks a direction. It could break lower out of this bear flag, or it could be a false breakdown and move higher. TNX, 10-year, same thing. So yeah, so that's inter-asset correlation. Let's get into the tail of the tape. So the new NAM numbers came out, no change at all, same. Bears for the AAII, bulls unchanged, and bears picked up. So that's good to see. Fear and greed continues to be in fear. Tomorrow, news-wise, tomorrow is the big day with the inflation data. So that likely will be a market moving event. Day count up 1, 7 days of consolidation, 18 days above the 8 EMA, 19 days above the 21 EMA, and expectations, they continue to be positive. So sector-wise, cybersecurity hack, really strong today, and a handful of charts showing getting volume and strength the last 2 days. Software, similar with cybersecurity, is very strong. TAN kind of getting a dead cat bounce after falling pretty hard the last few weeks. Uranium bouncing off the 150-day. ARC getting really tight. This would support this, like ARC always gets in gear when breadth expands, and that's just kind of the nature of it. So if that starts to break out, that can deliver some alpha. XLRE up on the day, Bitcoin, and then biotech as well. And weakness on the day, copper. Continue to see no momentum in commodities anymore. And then semiconductors as well. Micron closed the day down 7%. That weighed down on the sector a little bit. In-house, 2 changes today. Mentioned it yesterday, but we did buy MU after hours, and then we added on to Meta today. So bottom line, S&P 500, this is day 7 of this tight action, and seeing some new leadership in software and cyber security stocks. So let's get into the charts. So we'll look at the 21/21 list. So top gainers on the day. Elf, this one just not giving up, up 6.5% on the day and falling through to the upside. Palantir, so I mentioned software stocks starting to perk up, and this one looks really good. This 25.52, I think, is the key level. You can see it failed breakout there, rejected, rejected, failed breakout there. So it's coming back into this level, and now it has the group strength behind it. Software, there's handful of software names that have been up. And if you look at the weekly here, this is like a base on base. This has a two cup and handle bases, and this is another base. And one characteristic of a base on base pattern is it often coincides with a stock in a weak sector that's struggling or the market's struggling. And that you kind of can refer to it as a beach ball underwater. So if that sector starts to get more strength, then maybe this, wants to move higher. TMDX, positioning GROTECTION, just consolidating really nice after that earnings gap. We really like the earnings on this one in the story. And this looks like it may want to take a stab at this 150 level, psych level and breakout spot. CrowdStrike, cybersecurity stocks. This is the clear leader in the space. You can't ask for much more. Has held this gap up really well, and now it's looking to break out of this range. If you look at the 60-minute, acting exactly how you'd want a gap up to act. Bros, this was had the catalyst on earnings out of the stage one base, and ever since has been falling through the upside. Good action, and nice to see younger new merchandise trading well. Meta, we added to this one today, took out this pivot right here in this cup and handle base, and really impressive. Obviously, it gapped down on earnings here, but ever since has been trending up, has been outperforming, and this one looks really good. And as we said, it's been a similar story the last couple of trading sessions. Is there's a lot of people that continue to buy the big tech names, so we're just going to ride that wave as long as they stay healthy. Eli Lilly, another great looking chart. So some of the weak links. So HIMS, this one was pretty weak today. It had a short report this morning, and I'll just pull up an intra and gap down lower, held this 19 spot and closed low the range. This one probably needs some time. Micron, so after hours, it dipped to this 126 spot, which was the 50-day. It held, and we took a position after hours around there. So this 50 days key spot that we're watching, and yeah, it just couldn't. That 21-day acted as resistance a little bit today, so we'll be watching this one against the 50-day. I mean, great numbers, great earnings, and the earnings report was good, as well as a lot of big banks came out with analyst coverage and upgrades this morning. So sometimes it takes a day or two for a stock to trade after earnings to see the true price reaction. GEV. This one's down 2% on the day, but acting well. And this one's also forming a VCP. I'm just drawing these contractions for you guys, and right below this 180 spot. So this one has the earnings, and this alternative energy industry group has been acting well. So 21 days key on this one. So watching this one closely. NVIDIA, this 8 EMAs acting as resistance since that kind of, that blow off a little bit, but holding the 21. So this is a key indication for the semiconductor group. And then Spotify, as we say, don't buy this stock on strength, right? And now it's coming back down 1.12% on the day. So let's take a look at, I mentioned cybersecurity. So this is Hack. This obviously underperformed for this whole time, and now it's finally starting to outperform. And the chart looks really good. This kind of, we talk about 3 waves down. This kind of had that 3 waves down. Wedge pop back above the moving averages. So if it can go sideways a little bit here and set up again for higher, that would be good. And if you zoom out to the weekly, this just looks like a big weekly cup and handle base. And this is a super bullish looking weekly chart. You have the weekly stochastic hookup. And the two leaders, Crowd, which I went over, we own, and then PANW. This broke out of this 324 base today, and Baird had some upgrades this morning, a 360 price target, and as you can see, right off the open, it was running pretty nicely. Some other ones, ESTC, another software name with a good looking chart, took it, this got off our radar after that earnings gap down and just the big underperformance. But this is showing a change in trend coming back, and this almost is similar to the Palo Alto chart. So maybe if you can break out through this 116, it tries to fill this gap, and never know, maybe goes for highs. And then and yeah, this is IGV as well. This is the software, similar look to Hack, and you can see, again, this is like a weekly cup and handle, and it's right against these weekly highs. So clearly this sector is showing that, money's starting to flow back into it. And after it's been underperforming, so that's good to see. Some other names, just some other software names. CRM was up 4% today. Adobe was up 3.42%. ServiceNow. This gap lower to 637 actually was right around the low in software, and it was looking pretty ugly below the 200-day, and it just went straight back up. This one was up 2.68% on the day. So all in all, acting pretty good. Amazon, which we bought yesterday, this put in a day two higher high, and it actually it was on 81% above average volume. So that's kind of rare, right? This was the breakout day, good volume, and then it came back today with even higher volume coming out of the space, and that's a super positive. If we look at the weekly, breaking out all-time high closes, and the numbers speak for themselves. Some other big tech names, like I mentioned, money continues to flow here. Google flying through on the breakout. Netflix looks great. Apple, this one's kind of setting up earnings U-turn flag, and hasn't came back. Obviously, this 200 level was the breakout spot, so that's the key line in the sand that you want to see hold. So overall, good action. And with the combination of these big tech names staying strong, we have IWM getting back above the 821 and the 50-day. So that could mean a major boost in breadth expansion for this market, and something we've been talking about, waiting, and maybe price will cooperate and prove our thesis right. But obviously we always need price to tell us. So yeah, that's some charts and tell the tape. So that's gonna wrap it. As always, like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com, and then you can reach out to Dan, Don, or Ted at revereasset.com. The phone is 855 Real Wealth. That is 855-732-5932. And if you're interested in becoming a client, please reach out. And with that, I'll wrap it. Thursday, June 27th. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening, and have a great evening.